today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. What is our last look at the upcoming Jasmine Artiga versus Regina Chavez WBA super flyweight title fight set to go down on the undercard of Lester Martinez versus Joshawn James via Pro Box.
This fight between Jasmine and Regina is for the vacant WBA title in the super flyweight division.
Title that was left vacant as a result of Argentina's Clara Lescurat's retirement. Now it's up for grabs. Jasmine Artiga is 32 years old, whereas Regina is a very young 20.
Would say that Jasmine Artiga is the taller, longer fighter of the two, the more athletic fighter of the two, whereas Regina is the shorter, stumpier, stockier fighter. Jasmine sports a professional record of 12 wins with no losses, 1 draw, 6 knockouts,
where Regina sports a professional record of 8 wins with 4 losses, 3 draws, and 1 recorded knockout, having never been knocked out in 15 professional bouts. Last in action in November of last year, opposite the ring, Madeline Miner, who Regina won a decision against.
A unanimous decision.
So she's fought in the last 12 months and won't have any ring rust to shake off this Saturday, whereas Jasmine Artiga has been out noticeably longer. Last in action in February of last year opposite the ring, Nancy Franco, who she stopped in the first round of a contest scheduled for 8, and that's the only fight that Jasmine had last year.
In spite of that, I'm still favoring Jasmine to win.
This isn't a fight that you really have to overthink. Jasmine Artiga's got a mean streak, and so does Regina Chavez. They both seem to be mid-range to inside fighters, and I think what's going to determine the contest between them is who brought the bigger guns to the gun show, because this is not going to be a fight of finesse.
I think it's going to come down to who packs the bigger wallop within close quarters.
It is important to note that Regina Chavez has never been stopped. She's never been knocked out, though at the same time, has she fought a strong puncher like Jasmine Artiga is a strong puncher, because she is menacing.
She is lethal within close quarters, nicknamed the Animal, and you can see why.
I think that Jasmine has seen more fighters like Regina Chavez than the other way around. What I envision is Jasmine Artiga overpowering Regina Chavez mid-range to inside like she did Nancy Franco in her last fight.
Maybe Regina can put up a better fight. Maybe Regina can last a little longer than Nancy Franco did.
But I see this fight ending the same way that fight did, with Jasmine Artiga's hand raised.
So it should be a good one while it lasts.
Regina Chavez likes to throw a lot of punches within close quarters. So does Jasmine Artiga. It's basically a firefight.
Gonna fight fire with fire.
I just don't think it's a good idea to punch with Jasmine Artiga. I think she packs a bigger wallop. There's more speed, more snap, and more concussive power in her punches than Regina's. So I anticipate Regina will be the newly crowned WBA super flyweight champion this weekend.
Beyond that, the potentiality of things getting even more interesting for Jasmine should she emerge the victor. There's been an ongoing feud, a rivalry between Jasmine Artiga and unbeaten Liana Cruz of Allentown, Pennsylvania.
The nature of the feud, I think, is that by all rights, it should be Liana Cruz fighting for the WBA title, since she's ranked at number 2 and Regina Chavez is ranked at number 1, whereas Jasmine Artiga is all the way down there at number 7. So how does she get a shot at the vacant title before Liana?
Somebody needs to ask the WBA.
In spite of them being the ones that are sanctioning this fight, Liana Cruz has taken aim at Jasmine Artiga, and Jasmine Artiga responded on the Boxing Voice not that long ago ahead of this weekend's fight,
saying that Liana Cruz is delusional, that she doesn't beat any top fighters. We'll see what's what shortly after this weekend's fight. That makes for a spicy affair.
A spicy fight between two very fiery fighters with big personalities, both of which hail from right here in the US of A. So I figure that it might be best for Jasmine Artiga, after this weekend's fight, to settle up with Liana Cruz before pursuing a unification match with one of the other 3 champions at the weight, all of which are more experienced fighters than Jasmine Artiga.
Now, you could argue that Liana is a high-risk, low reward, but Jasmine does need the experience. She only has about 12 or 13 fights.
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. For now, I expect that Jasmine Artiga should win this weekend and become WBA super flyweight champion.
We'll see if she does.
Elsewhere, in the world of boxing, bad news seems to have fallen on Teofimo Lopez, who apparently will no longer train with Eddie Reynoso and Canelo. I'm very disappointed. I was supposed to start camp with them today.
I wondered how this was going to play out. On one end, you say that Teofimo can learn a lot from Canelo Alvarez and Eddie Reynoso, how to cut the ring off effectively, how to be effective on the front foot. But on the other end, it would seem that Eddie Reynoso had a full plate. He was supposed to be training Teofimo, he was supposed to be training Ryan, at the same time he's training Jaime and Canelo Alvarez, all to box on the same weekend. The man was spreading himself thin. I wondered whose corner he was going to be in that weekend, but it would seem we have that answer. He's not training Ryan. He's not training Teofimo.
Teofimo Lopez, who now says he's very disappointed. Teofimo Lopez, who Shakur Stevenson says he would like to fight.
Made an appearance on the Ring Magazine podcast opposite Chris Mannix, detailing his desire to get Teofimo in the ring, teach him a lesson.
What did you think of what Keyshawn said? And as you, as someone in and around that weight, would you ever fight Teofimo?
I'll fight him for sure.
Okay.
I'll fight him just because Teo is just like this big-headed guy who thinks he's above all, and I don't think that he should feel that way. But that would be my reason for fighting him. I get why Keyshawn said he wouldn't fight him. I think it's more so like being petty, like, okay, you gonna be starving now. Like, nobody, bro, you're not gonna make that much money unless you fight the big fights when it comes to Teo. So I think truthfully Keyshawn is like being petty, like, I bet you wanna cause you like the stuff that he's doing is like, bro, you clout chasing using racism, like racism. You shouldn't do that and know like, what are you doing, bro? Clout not that serious, bro. Like, it ain't never been that serious. So truthfully, I get why Keyshawn said that, but me, I'll punch him that dude.
That surprised you that he did that? You were a stablemate of Teofimo for a long time.
I think like that's not even Teo. Like, I done met Teo like since like a youngster. I didn't never think Teo was like a racist or none of that. But truthfully now, I think like he just trolling with it and he thinks that it's funny or something cool to troll with. But like, bro, that's not cool. Like, that's not nothing you should be doing, bro. Like, that clout ain't that serious, bro. You should not try to build your name up off of being a racist, bro. Like, that's lame as hell.
Yeah.
Desperate is what I would call it, what Teofimo Lopez has resorted to in recent days, recent weeks, in order to get attention and get talked about. He's taken to presenting himself as some kind of a bigot.
Shakur Stevenson still seems to think it's all an act, whereas I think that's just Teofimo putting on display an extension of himself. An extension of himself that was already there. Otherwise, why would you resort to this? Even in playing the heel and trying to be the bad guy.
You can do that without being racist about it. You can do that without turning it into a KKK rally. So that if you do, it's only because you wanted to. It's not necessary to play the heel. You don't have to present yourself quite like this. And where Keyshawn Davis is willing to freeze out Teofimo to not play his game, Shakur Stevenson says that he is willing to fight him.
I could go for that, but I don't think it's going to happen. Teofimo Lopez, on more than one occasion, while downing Shakur Stevenson and his boxing ability, at the same time has said, more than once, that he won't fight him.
He will not box Shakur Stevenson.
And you can make of that what you will.
You're gonna go on all these podcasts, make these public statements, trash the guy while saying you won't fight him?
Stupid.
And Teofimo's good for the stupid stuff. He's been doing a lot of stupid shit, saying a lot of stupid shit. If they were to fight, I would favor Shakur Stevenson to win, for the same reason I'd favor Shakur over Gervonta Davis. Teofimo and Gervonta really aren't that different.
At their best, they're hanging back, setting traps, and getting off hard counters. They're looking to do a guy with a single shot, get him hurt, then move in. But if that shot don't come, if that opportunity don't present itself,
they're lost. They're not prolific punchers, either of them, Gervonta or Teofimo.
Not really volume guys.
I see a situation between Shakur and Teofimo, to where Teofimo's gonna struggle to get within striking distance of this guy who stays on his toes, stays on the move. He's the slightly taller, longer fighter of the two, with speed of his own and length of his own, enough to keep Teofimo at arm's length, pot-shotting from the outside.
The aesthetic of the fight.
This fight would look like Devin Haney's fight with Regis Prograis. It would look like that, just at a faster pace, because Teofimo is younger than Regis Prograis was when he fought Devin Haney, but stylistically, based on styles, it's the same fight.
And I think it would play out the same way. But alas, we're not gonna get it. Teofimo is otherwise preoccupied. He has Arnold Barboza to contend with.
I've long maintained that stylistically, Arnold is yet another guy who could make Teofimo Lopez look bad, and when you tack on that now Teofimo won't be working with Eddie Reynoso
To patch up the holes and work on being more effective and more responsible while closing the distance.
you wonder that Teofimo Lopez isn't about to get another big dose of karma, like what he got the night of the George Kambosos fight.
He's been working hard to draw attention to himself, albeit the wrong kind of attention, to where if he loses to Arnold, don't look for sympathy.
Him to come do it. Because he ain't calling for us. Boots ain't calling for us. He ain't calling for us. He don't want us. He don't want his work.
Do you think he would choose the Teofimo route before you guys?
He probably would.
What do you think about that?
Then he gonna be a bitch. And I'm gonna people hear me. Enough people hear me right now. He gonna be a bitch. We right here. You say you want unifications only. You duck Virgil, then I ain't gonna call him ducking Tio because you said you wanted the belts. Okay, cool. You duck Virgil, then when Tio asked you for a fight at 147, you did not take that. I ain't gonna call that no duck. You didn't take that and said, no, you only want to unify. Then you got Stanionis. Perfectly understandable. Even on our end, perfectly understandable, perfectly good. Even if he didn't fight us and fought Stanionis. Understandable. That's cool. Or whatever. But if you fight Tio and Tio ain't got shit to offer, nah, that's bullshit. Even if he got that fake ass WBA, that's not the belt that count. That's not gonna make him unify. That's not gonna get him closer to no fucking undisputed. All he need is the 4 major belts. That's it. And Tio ain't got one. And Tio not about to have one.
There are 2 points of contention there in association with Brian Norman Sr.'s comments about a potential Boots versus Lopez fight. 2 points of contention, 2 stories, really.
He's not making any sense. One minute you're saying, if Boots fights Teofimo instead of you guys, he's a bitch. But the next minute you're saying that he ducked Teofimo.
So which one is it? Addressing the potentiality of Boots Ennis versus Teofimo Lopez, we may not even get that far, because for that to happen, Teofimo has to beat Arnold.
And I'm starting to wonder if he's going to. Arnold, stylistically, was never a good fight for Teofimo, but tack on that now Teofimo won't be working with Eddie Reynoso, you start to wonder, is he going to win his next fight? Because if he doesn't, that kills any notion that he would fight Boots.
And if that fight dies on the vine, the logical choice for Boots then is the Brian Norman fight.
Yeah, it is, but don't forget about Gayasov. Gayasov is installed as the WBA's mandatory challenger. It's conceivable that that could become a problem after Boots versus Stanionis.
But before Boots is able to move on to another champion, of which there are 2 remaining at welterweight, he might have to deal with Shakram Gayasov immediately after the Stanionis fight.
We'll see.
Now addressing Brian Norman Sr.'s silly comments about Matchroom and Boots not calling for Brian Norman, not calling for them, saying they don't want the smoke.
You're joking, right?
They made you an offer. You didn't take it. You had plenty of time. You pissed it away, just to end up on Michaela Mayer's undercard when that could have been you unifying with Jaron Ennis. You chose not to. So if you end up on the back burner for a Lopez fight or a Mario Barrios fight,
He's got a belt too.
the same as you, the same as Brian Norman. So what's supposed to make Brian Norman more of a priority than, say, Barrios, if that's what it comes to? You snooze, you lose. And that's the bottom line. I don't actually know what's next for Boots if he beats Stanionis, because he's got options, but that's the point, isn't it? That Boots has options and Brian doesn't.
Which is why Why, you were only wasting your own time all those months ago, pretending that you did, pretending that you were in any position to haggle or turn your nose up at Matchroom's offer.
Stupid the way these boxing dads carry on, talking to any podcaster that will give them a bit of airtime just to put their foot in their mouths. Every single time. Brian Norman Sr. sounds like an idiot.
A bozo. Before they landed on Stanionis, they came to you.
Now you're mad that Top Rank is not going to put forward the effort for you to unify this division that you see Matchroom is putting forward for Boots to unify this division. But unifying this division isn't his only option. Whereas for you, your best bet is that they spin the block and call you back.
You know Top Rank isn't gonna break the piggy bank to get you a Barrios fight.
You know that there are a good number of somebodies entering into your division right now. Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney.
Not on their radar.
From the time you beat Giovanni Santillan till now, you've done absolutely nothing to incentivize yourself as an opponent for those fighters, but you could have if you would have taken Matchroom's offer, and if you would have won the fight, you'd be in a lot stronger position than you are now, but you didn't.
And so, they'll get to you whenever they get to you, on their time, not yours, because you're not the one making the offers.
Sick and tired of seeing these B and C side fighters pretending they're in the driver's seat. You're not.
That's why you gotta strike while the iron is hot. If you could stop acting stupid for 2 seconds and realize the opportunity was right there.
The situation is a lot more convoluted, more complex now because there are mandatories in the queue as well as potential fights for a lot of money. The Lopez fight would presumably be bankrolled by Turkey LL Sheik. So while Lopez doesn't have a belt for Boots to win, there could still be a giant purse attached to it, and that is incentive enough. And if you were to cast aside all of that, there still is one other belt holder besides Brian Norman. There's still one other champion at the weight they might so decide to go after ahead of you.
So if you gotta wait, tough titty.
Tough break, kid. You better find something to do. Guess you'll have more time to do the rounds on the podcasts, saying this and that, waiting for the gravy train to arrive when you already missed it.
And I don't feel sorry for you.